Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ANTW Games. I don't know where you're getting the idea of this Doctor Hubble malarkey. There certainly ain't no doctor around here. Definitely not. Oh, I couldn't do that much studying. That would be hard. Apologies in advance, everybody. As you can probably tell, I'm not feeling 100% tonight. So tonight's the time, obviously. You know, I'm not feeling 100%, so I'm going to try something new. Yippee! Everything's going to go really, really well, isn't it? So, anyone in chat, do let me know how your midweek's been. Have you enjoyed your sort of slight hump, well, bit of post-hump day? No, we saw each other on Tuesday, so yeah, you've had the middle of the week without me. Something new, how about QBasic? No, it's going to be bot related again. It's just that I'm going to try and take a slightly different tactic to how I explain what we're doing in terms of feature set. And I'm going to show some of the actual planning that I do. No, this bot, not QBasic. I'm not looking at QBasic. It is the C++ bot. It's the one that we all know and love. That we've been playing with on stream. So, you know, if I go across and show it to you, why have I got my drink in the way of my stream deck? Why won't my stream deck magically move for me? I don't know. So yeah, it's this spot. It's got, you know, this socket library. It's got, oh yeah, go on, do what you want there. This Twitch message. I'll tell you what, ANTW Games, if you would prefer QBasic, that is absolutely fine. You stream some QBasic. Okay, this light's going to irritate everyone, isn't it? So let's do something slightly arty. I think that completely defeats the purpose of it. Do you know what? If that's irritating, it's a bit of tough luck. Because it needs to suit me as well. Can everyone see me, hear me okay? Yes, I mean, see a bit of chair in the background. Hang on, let's move the chair out of the way. There. That could be because that was going to distract me. No, they haven't annoyed me at all, ANTW Games. Not at all. I'm saying the same back in jest that you don't worry about it. I'm saying it back in jest. If you like, you stream it. I'm in one of those moods, so apologies if I take things a little bit the wrong way, or if I seem like I have done. I know it's all in jest. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could. I mean, to kind of make the joke, QBasic's got to have some form of socket library, hasn't it? And hello, Fuel Snable. How are you doing? How's your week been? How's the middle of your week been? Hopefully you're all feeling better than I am tonight. So let's have a look at something a bit more software engineering focused, rather than just throwing code in. Thank you very much, ANTW Games. Instead of just throwing code about the place, let's actually hit Notepad, because while I could have set Trello boards and stuff up, I couldn't be bothered. Normally I'd use something like Dynalist, but I'm not opening it up on this machine and showing everything. And I think there's work-related stuff on my Dynalist as well. So let's just go Notepad. And I keep hearing people talk about user stories, and I don't know exactly what they are. And by saying that, I'm probably going to end up writing the same kind of things. So I'm just gonna throw out there what I do, which is known as the MMF, or Minimal Marketable Feature. Full disclosure, stolen from previous employer, but also stolen from Toyota and whatever. It's something I've seen used enough times that I don't think that there's any proprietary information here. And I'm going to do a very, very bare basics of it, but normally, oh gosh, hang on, I can't remember the whole thing. I can remember the part that I use, because there's the whole scenario feature thing. But all I sort of do is go, as a blank, I want blank so that blank. And that is a 3-line description of any feature that I'm going to work on. Now, one thing that we are going to do is a feature. At the moment, we've been working with hard-coded commands, and I don't think that that's clever. So I want to try and drive us away from that and drive us to something closer to what we do in real life. So I'm going to come up with a scenario that's reasonably real life. Fuel Snable love Quick Basic. Do you know, I've never actually worked with Quick Basic. I worked with Sinclair's ZX Basic. I've worked with Amiga Basic as a knee-high to a grasshopper kid, like. I've done the Visual Basic thing. I've never done Quick Basic. That one passed me by. So, which drink shall I go for? See if the coffee's cool enough yet. Guessing everyone can read the text pretty well. Guessing everyone can read the code well enough when that comes up as well. I would hope so by now. So, as a mod of the channel, so in our case, let's use Minxie Rose as the example. Although I don't think she's in chat tonight, but hey ho, she can be the feature owner here, which she'll thank me incredibly for, I'm sure, when she realises that she's got to do that. So as a mod of the channel, I want to be able to add commands, and the so that, I mean, we've already described what we want to do, but the so that is very important to me because it gives more context. So that, well, yeah, Gareth doesn't break his flow when streaming, and because he is dopey and keeps adding and keeps forgetting to add commands. Okay, 3-sentence description of the feature. Shall we stick word wrap on? I think we will. So that's the feature as it is. Now, at this point, you would tend to break into the given when then scenarios. So, you know, given there is no command called whatever, when I add the command, then the command works. We can do that, but as we're not test driving this out, I don't necessarily think that's something that we need to do. But one thing I would like to do is look at how we break this up into smaller tasks. So, where we're at now, I've kind of cheated a little bit because this was always an intention. So there's a bit of design here that helps. If we go into main.cpp, we have some commands. Now, I'm going to rule out the complicated ones for now. So we only want to add simple commands. And I think, to start with, we're going to add commands that look like that. So there's the hi command. The raid call command could be slightly changed. We're not even touching arguments yet. So let's say step 1. Well, let's say that this feature is simple commands, i.e. text goes to response, nothing more. So what we've just done there is looked at how we can restrict what this feature is. That's always going to help. Now, are we going to have all of this implemented tonight? I doubt it. But now we go on to a process where we look at what the smaller parts of this are. So to estimate how long that this lot's going to take is going to be a bit daft. I'm going to struggle with that. But, you know, let's say that we need to create a way to store commands in the app, loop over them, when text processing, call the correct one, persist the commands in possibly a database, and then look at, well, we don't even know if we want to do the persisting first or if we want to add on, I don't know, adcom command restrict it just to mods. Well, we are going to have to persist what commands are added, because I don't think that anyone's going to appreciate, you know, anytime I restart the bot, all the commands disappear. It's just that, do we persist them before adding this adcom command, or do we do it afterwards? There's no real order to it. Obviously, there are orders. I mean, all of those are one block, and then these two separate blocks we can do in any order that we want, really. We can either decide that we're going to persist commands first and then write an interface to add them, or we can write an interface to add them to the in-memory store and then look at how we persist them. So we will have to do it. I think the discussion was really more a case of at what point do we do that, and we'll decide that later. Incidentally, I've been asked once or twice what kind of stream planning I do. Pretty much that. That's pretty much all the planning I will do. And you know, for things like database, I have already installed SQLite. Although blue screen, so I don't know if SQLite's properly installed. We'll find that out later, won't we? But I'll install the stuff that takes a while as well. So that's the sort of new formatty part of it. Hi there, Upgrading Dave. Yes, quite an amount more chatbot dev, including actually planning bits and bobs of it. So I don't think you've ever seen me do this kind of planning on stream before. It's not a huge amount of planning, it's nothing particularly formal, but I just thought it was something that would be nice for us to at least go over. Especially because we do occasionally have people who are new to the idea of engineering, well, of building software in the stream, even if they know some programming. So just a nice little introduction to that. Again, this is not the be-all and end-all. This is not the way that I say everybody should do it. This is just a quick sort of, this is how I do things. And it suits me. So take from that what you like. Okay, so first thing, well, I've kind of made it very much, I've made it a very simple feature, which is to deal with essentially that command and something like, well, let's go that command, and let's say for now that we're not going to have all of these send message calls, that they're all going to be a single message. I don't know, bot there. NTW Games, this kind of document is particularly neat because you could very easily print that out on a nifty label printer. Do you know one of the things that we did? I mean, I've just done that computerized. We actually hand wrote this kind of thing onto index cards. And these bits, so that would have been on pretty much a full index card. And then each of these would have been on, let's say, a quarter index card. on a Kanban board, and I really mean a cork board with bits of string strung across it. This is a low-tech system. I don't have one here to demonstrate because I don't use it that way anymore. But as soon as I can get my hands on one and figure out how to mount it against a brick wall, it will be interesting. Yeah, I struggle to write with my hands. This is the other reason I don't do it that way, is as much as we hand wrote them, I pretty much can't. I kind of can at best. But yeah, I mean, you could print them off on a label printer. I think the big thing there, though, NTW Games, both of our approaches have one big thing in common. Once you've pushed a bit of the feature live, or once you've done a bit, instead of, you know, just ticking some piece of software off, there's nothing like the feeling of just going rip and binning it. Like, rip it up, done that bit. That's cool. So I think the idea of moving this to a physical format is great. Like I say, the way we did it was we'd scribble it down, and to be fair, you only had to remember it for a day or so. There's that, you know, that's a few minutes work, that's a couple of minutes work, that kind of builds in. That could be a little bit longer, maybe half an hour. That we've already got the code for, and the persistence, an hour or so maybe. If there's a day's work in that, there's no more. No worries, NTW Games. Go and enjoy running your errands. And throwing screens out the windows gets expensive. I mean, I looked at the price of label printers. Label printers aren't cheap, because otherwise, yes, I would have a label printer and basically do what I refer to lovingly as Kanban monitor, which is essentially post-it notes, sticky notes across the bottom of your monitor. When you've got 3 monitors, you've got a lot of work. You've got a lot of space there. So you could even, you know, designate one monitor as some form of to do. So a backlog monitor, an in-progress monitor, and a done, ready to be deployed monitor. And you could just move sticky notes between the 3. That's entirely doable. A cheap brother label printer. Now, how cheap is cheap? Because I've not really seen them as particularly cheap. Alright, about 40 euros, 38 quid. Yeah, that's cheap, that works. Anyway, enjoy yourself, go and do your errands. I shall cough me guts up. Yeah, allowing moderators to create simple text commands it's an interesting thought. Again, I know of bots that actually do this. You've been thinking it'd be cool to allow folks to type closure into the chat and then have your chatbot run it. I think it would be cool. I'm also worried about... yeah, I was going to say, I would be very worried about arbitrary code execution. Why my taste buds have gone funny this evening. That orange squash did not taste good, and it normally does. Don't even think my coffee's tasting that great tonight. Ugh. I knew I was ill. Okay, so now that we've got an idea of what we're doing, and essentially one of the commands that I'm sure Minxie Rose has wanted to add for a while is probably a YouTube one. I can never remember where the link to the YouTube channel is. Probably an F# for fun and profit one might come out. I don't know. There's plenty of commands that... There are plenty of things that I'd like everyone to have easy access to that we haven't got easy access to in the chat because I can't be bothered to go to Nightbot's website to add the commands, or, you know, even in stream to add the command. Let me kill that off as well. So let's run this up just to see what happens with the RAID call now that I've got this send message all on in one command. all in one function. So we're only sending one message. So we're online, and the raid call. Oh, I know what's wrong here. Yeah, of course, you can't send new lines in IRC. So what we're going to have to do is that. So in essence, we've got to do all this on one line in Visual Studio. No, there must be a way of word wrapping in here. Yeah, there is. Okay, so we can at least word wrap in VS. That's handy. Cool. I don't think we indent too far that word wrapping is going to get in our way too much. So at the moment we've got literally the only two commands of this type we've got so far are those, and we want to factor those out and do something else. So I think first off we need to create a command type. Now, structs versus classes. I'm thinking that this is just a simple struct with two elements. Or actually, it isn't. It's even better than that, isn't it? This is a map. All it is a stud map, and we already have one of them. In fact, there we are. We already have stud maps. Let's just for now throw it up. Let's have it global because I don't care yet. It'll not be global for too long. It'll be within some form of class or something. I'm sure it will. But for now, let's have command. Now, can I do... Tell you what. Just for now, let's... it doesn't need to be out there, actually. Let's be slightly more intelligent. Let's say that we've got down here, so we're connected, we've joined. We're claiming to be online, so before we're actually online, let's create the commands map. Let's go commands hi equals this lot. Now you'll notice that I'm not putting the exclamation mark in there. Just do me a favour, when I mess this up and don't put the exclamation mark in as part of the check for the commands, remind me that I've done that. And the raid call one, oh, that's a tab. That could be a space, to be fair. So there's commands hi. Let's go for commands raid call. Is that? So let's now take out the hi and the raid call commands. And obviously they won't work. Let's fire the bot up and prove that they don't work anymore. So if I now go bang hi, it's going to ignore me completely. So, what do we want to do? Well, we've got all of these ifs with the message body. First thing I can show is that all of these are exclamation mark in front. Let's... Do you know what? We can ignore that for now. Because we can just go if message.body have I got a first? Hang on, at. Oh, hello. At the offset 0 is a bang. then we know we've got a command. So we can then look for the message body. I want to do head and tail of a list, essentially. So let's do a for auto. Actually, probably something simpler here. So strings in C++. Can we get... Hang on, what's front? We might have had an easier... Well, actually, that's interesting. So if the front... That's more readable. Do you know what? For now, let's just... is there a substring? I don't think there is. Message, body, sub... there is. Let's do offset and count. So surely that is there. Let's for now go... Did I check empty before front? You know what, Fuel Snable? I did not. So if it's not empty, yeah, substring should work. Do you know what, upgrading Dave? I know nothing about C++ either. Let's discover it together, shall we? Let's play with it all between us. So let's just see if this gives us exactly what we were hoping for. Stud, cout. I don't know why that happens, but hey ho. Command is that stud and line to both stick a new line in and to flush the buffer. So this is our generic command handling. So apparently, yeah, we're online. If I go for something like the hi command, we get the stud out of command hi. Now, of course, if I go for, I don't know, the TNT command, okay. Yeah, TNT has worked, and it still gives us the command, I think. Yeah, the command still appears there. That's fine, so generic commands will still trigger this. For now, that's absolutely fine. Hi there, Noodles, how are you doing? Don't worry about the until next time, all that was just me trying to command out. So all we now need to do is check that commands contains so can we get, oh, something sounded loud there. I think that might have been my washing machine. Almost sounded like someone was knocking at the door. Yeah, I get that one, Noodles. Glad to hear you're doing well. Is it find in a map? No, what do we use in a map for contains in? How do we check if a C++ map contains the key that I'm looking for? Let's go. In fact, let's not ask chat that question. Let's see if I can use cppreference.com. CPP reference, we know this. Stud map. Do you pronounce it as stud or standard in this situation? Because I don't know. So we've got member types, accesses an element with bounds checking. We've got the iterators. Reverse iterators. That's cool. Oh, that's handy. So we can iterate backwards through things. That's cool. Lookup. Contains is C++20. We don't have C++20 enabled. We only have up to C++17. So what does find do when the key isn't there? If no such element is found, the end iterator is returned. Ah, that's handy. So we can actually get... Well, there we are. There's a good little bit of code. What's the difference between transparent comparison and normal comparison? Okay. Oh, and nice initialization syntax for maps. Well, that's actually quite nice. This is reasonably reasonable. Oh, the transparent comparison, I think they're using their own operators. We're not going to bother with that. We're just going to use strings because we can. So what we're going to say is, if I can do this without flashing at everything. So if commands.find, let's say that message body substr 1. And then, okay, that we're saying is not equal to commands.end. Now, is there a nice way of going auto something equals that? I seem to remember. I suppose we could just do that, couldn't we? I thought there was another way of doing this. But okay, let's... Let's extract this out. String, stud string. Oh, I don't know, what will we call it? We'll call it reply for now. And this is moaning for some bizarre reason. And why do we have a problem here? What does find actually return? Returns an iterator. Okay. They're using the auto keyword. Now, there's half an argument for me that says we should also use the iterator keyword. The auto keyword. Let's try it for now and just see if everything sort of comes out in the wash. Not that I'm a fan of type inference, but let's give it a go. Let's see if C++'s type inference can give me some belief back in it. So if we don't find it, we can essentially go and do something like shall we tell chat? Let's not yet. So command whatever, not found. So that can just be a simple debug. If we do get a reply though, surely we should just send the message. And I get the impression that that should work. And why is send message reply telling me to go away? Hang on, that iterator. So find is spitting out an iterator. What's the... So send message takes a string. That's fine. I do just wonder if I've messed something up here, and I'm going to have to nip away for a minute or two in a minute. So first, okay. So That makes sense. So it's the first stored value. So yes, we can get... Oh, hang on. And that's a string. Ah. We don't want first. We want second. This now isn't a reply, is it? It's a command. Didn't need that. Let's do that then. So let's see if quickly the hi command net works again. Hoverbots online and hi chat works. And if I do a command that isn't there, it tells me that that command's not found here in the console. That's handy. Right, with that, I will be back in a few minutes. So hold tight. Okay, so let's go and recap what we've done earlier this stream. We've now got, well, let's bring up our document. So, created a way to store commands in the app, looped over them for processing our text, and we're now calling the create one. Cool. That's a good chunk of what we needed to do now. So let's have a look at an addcom command. And this is going to be a mod-only command. Let's do it in this order. So we've already got interesting commands. We've got the horn command, which is a mod-only one. Okay, well that's cool. Let's reuse that pattern. So if the body is... well, actually, we need to do something more than that, don't we? Because horn is a simple command, we need to use a bot command here. So we now want to go, if it's a addcom command, we'll pass in a message body. And we'll pass in the address to arguments. Where's our arguments is just there. So we'll pass that reference across. Now, am I right in thinking that C++, does short circuiting? If so, we might as well ask if we're a mod first as well. So is moderator attributes. So we've seen this before. So if we're a mod and we've got the addcom command, then the arguments will be just the string, as we've seen with that bot command there. And now, simply put, all we need to do is we need to look at the first word, because that'll be the new command. So essentially, we're going to support this kind of syntax. Addcom. Oh, I don't know. YouTube. Follow Gareth on YouTube. Yeah. So the first word is going to become the command word. Now here's the fun thing. We've got to split a string in C++. And that's not as easy as a lot of people would make out without Boost. I don't think string.split exists on its own in C++. Does it? Anyway, the argument captures just that part of it. So, argument dot, let me see if I can type, arguments dot split. No, I didn't think there was a split command there, a split method there. So how would we split? All I want to do is up until the first space is one thing, and then anything after is the rest of it. So stud string command to add stud string reply. we know we're going to need those. We know we're going to pass and then go commands, command to add equals reply. So that's the simple part of that done. Now all we need to do is find the first space in a string and get the index of it, and then anything before that is the command to add, anything after that is the reply. So what does stud string have on it that can help us? Let's go back to CPP reference, look for stud string. Again, I'm not sure whether I should be calling it stud string or standard string or where we're going with that. But, okay, so we've got front and back, we've got data, we've got C strings we can grab. We don't really need any of those. There's capacity stuff, there's operations, there's search. So we can do a find first of. That might help. Let's see what happens there. So we are searching for, well, in fact, let's have a look at what bot command itself does, because that's got to split somewhere. It splits, yeah, it splits on a substring because we pass it the command name. So, yeah. And it does consume that first space for us. That's handy to know as well. So let's have a look. Find first of. And it passes a basic string as a const reference. We can do a position. We can do find first of character. So let's have a look at an example. So it's the string dot find first of a character. Well, some characters. So search in this case is the O is there. So it's doing a C out of that, which is 4. Yeah, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. So we can do that, and then we can substring based on those, can't we? I think this will work. So I think what we need to do is go and grab int index. Well, again, do we need to do empty checking? And what happens if it doesn't exist? Standard string empos. Okay, that's cool. So let's grab an index. Let's say that it's where are we going? Arguments dot find first of, and let's say we use a space. FP Jester, the bot command boolean takes arguments. Would the equivalent in C# be a method that returns a bool? This is the function bot command returns a bool for if it's been called, and it takes a command name, a command that's passed to it, and we pass it a reference to arguments. This is essentially we use it as an out parameter. We're saying that something like, oh, I don't know, hi, and then let's say we've got a hi. Let's use the TNT command. Till next time. FP Jester. So command name we're testing for is TNT. The command is the whole thing, and then the args we populate with that FP Jester. So think of it, it's kind of modelled after try parse. The other thing you could do in C# is have a tuple of bool and string as the return type. In F# you could return an option of arguments, an option of string, so it'd either return none or some and then some argument, even if the sum was a null or an empty string. Whereas here we're just using it as an out parameter, essentially. Does that make some semblance of sense, FP Jester? I hope it does, but if not, let me know. So yeah, bot command is a function. We've just written a very simple function. And for some reason, well, I know roughly why, a lot of people do put the return type on a separate line. That means exactly the same as that, just that the return type is on a different line. And it's all well and good for short return types, but even, you know, once we get to const, and then we can start adding in, I don't know what I've got somewhere. I think we've got some really interesting return types. Yeah, I mean, user attributes as a return type, it's long enough. You don't really want all of that on one line. And when you get into templates or generics, you know, if we expanded this out to what it actually is, if we remember that user attributes in this case is just a standard map of standard string to standard string, then all of a sudden that on one line is just, that's starting to get long, and that's only taking one argument, returning a reasonably simple map, and that just seems to be a lot clearer that it returns that, and that's what it is. So it's a convention that I've not seen used in something like C#, but I have seen it in C and C++ quite a lot. So I'm kind of sticking with that convention. Okay, back here then. Anyway, where were we before? We were down here. So we were asking for an index to arguments find first of. Now, what happens if argument is empty? Do we need to do an empty check on arguments first? Are there any remarks that say anything about this? Only considers the interval. I don't think that we need to worry too much because it'll return MPOS anyway. I don't think we need to check. We need to do an empty check. We will try an empty check at some point. Yeah, if your Snable's saying we don't. Yeah, it doesn't seem like we need to, so let's not bother. I mean, we could check if we needed an empty check by, you know, trying the addcom command without. So let's say that we're looking for the first space. If index is standard string MPOS, so if we get nothing, then we'll go for a return. Well, we've got a break, haven't we? So let's say if it isn't a standard string MPOS, so we can't just break out of ifs particularly easily. It doesn't read nicely, even if you can, I don't think. So we are then going to go, well, what are each of these? And actually, we now know that those don't need declaring until we get into there. So command to add. Becomes index arguments dot substr 0 to, well, the count is going to be index at this point. We are going to stuff a breakpoint here because I'm not entirely sure where that space is going to come in. Let's try and work it out. Instead of just looking for it, let's work it out. So the O is position 4. So HELL will give us 0 with a count of 4. And then we go for that index plus 1, I think, to get past it. Because the search for the O returns 4, which is the position that's in. So that's, yeah, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Position 4 is there, so I think it's the n plus 1th to get us everything after. Let's try that out. Yeah, upgrading Dave. I've never seen that convention before, really, but I don't see why it wouldn't work. So let's let reply equal, for now, what we reckoned was index plus 1, wasn't it? Good evening, Voodoo32. How are you doing tonight? So in theory, we should have an adcom. We're not persisting our commands yet. That's something that we need to do in a bit. Not sure if we're going to do that tonight. Or we might at least start. We might look into SQLite. Hint, it's SQLite that we're going to persist with, just because it's easy for now. Hopefully. So let's fire this up. Anyway, just while we're firing this up, I haven't tried this since we've been... I haven't tried to fix the release mode bug that we seem to have had yet. So, if you're Snable, if you could send me that link again to that gist, because I seem to have lost it. So if you can PM it to me or whatever, please. I'll have a go at minimising that at some point and trying to get us a really minimal repro. So if I go add com foo something, this is going to say that that command was, oh, ha 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 ha, oh. We're using the same syntax as Nightbot. Remove com foo. Oops. Okay, Delcom. That works. Right, we're going to forget that we did that. And can I quickly tell Nightbot to not do the addcom removecom thing? Let me... You're not going to be seeing what I'm about to do now. Only because I don't want to reveal things that are potentially going to cause me a problem. And in fact... can't even remember. Oh, it's nightbot.tv this week. I can never remember what domain it's on. So I know you can't see. I know technically I'm on a wrong scene or whatever. I just don't want things to go potentially wrong. And I don't want to leak anything that needs to be not leaked. So commands, default. Is there nothing here about adding a command? Can I not say to Nightbot, don't add commands? This is odd. Oh, allows users to get okay. Moderators are higher for that. Let's disable that. So now Nightbot shouldn't respond if I try and add a command. Jester, with how low resolution the webcam is on your screens, at 300 by 400 pixels, which is all you're getting, if you can see much on that browser, and to be honest, it didn't leak anything anyway, so you could have seen what I've just done, but hey ho. If I now go add com foo bar, right, this isn't going to work. Now, what we have got an issue with here, or one I hadn't I'd killed the bot. So let's give that another go. Adcom is not found, and the reason is I don't come up as a moderator on this channel. So what we've got to do now, if we look, user type doesn't equal mod. I wonder if I can just go and give myself mod permissions on here. I'm already a moderator of this channel. I thought I was. And you know what? It's still not giving me a user type with mod. So realistically, oh, mod equals 0. So I'm not a mod according to this. I am, however, the broadcaster. What we'll do is I'm going to add a nasty little hack that says that I'm allowed to do anything I like because I class as is moderator. Otherwise, we're going to get bogged down in working out who the broadcaster is. So let's say is moderator. Let's say if attributes dot hang on. Yeah, dot find. What do we get out of the attributes? Is username in there? There is a broadcaster tag. It's within the badges. And unfortunately, oh, hang on. I know what's going on here. Let's do it this way. Username. Well, user name, and then it's horrible, nasty coding. Return true. You know what? This does need cleaning up. Clean up to include the broadcaster. Okay, so we stick a to do in there. That's fine. I don't like it. It is what it is at the end of the day. Let's just double check that that actually works, shall we? And that attributes has a Gareth Hubble in it. So add com foo bar. Not found, and the reason is username is not in the attributes. So let's go display name, just for now. See, the problem with using the badge info part is badges equals broadcaster, subscriber, subgifter. So this is the ones and zeros. Now I'm guessing the 0 is not showing and the 1 is showing. Yes, it's case sensitive, and I was trying to use username, not display name. So that's both problems. So what we now need to do is go display name, and it needs to be the correct capitalization. This is horrible nastiness. Do not do this. Again, do not do this. But hey, let's have another go. So firing up, oh, that select can go away. We're now online. Add com foo bar. And we get command to add is foo, reply is bar. So we got those right. We got the indices correct as well. That's cool. So if I now go, or if anyone goes exclamation mark foo, the bot should respond with bar. I mean, what I really should have done is gone and added that one. Should have done ping pong, shouldn't I, really? Either way, that works. Issue we have, I stop the bot, I fire the bot back up again, and as I'm pretty sure will come as no surprise to anybody whatsoever, if I try now doing a ping, it does not pong. And it won't. We've done 0 persistence yet. So, time to get that done. Anyway, let's go back to our little document of things to do that we've done. So we've done an add command, we've restricted it to mods. What we now need to do, in fact, I will just copy the to do from there. Main.cpp, what line are we on? 27. So that kind of will remind me that, okay, we've done that, but we've got other things. So we're now down to persisting the commands. And once we've done that, we've got a marketable feature. However, this doesn't look like it's going to be easy. This is not a couple of minutes job, is it? So we might have to card this, or we might have to split this into separate jobs. Time for some explanation. First off, let's go into PowerShell, make sure that the installs worked. Into VC package. For anyone that doesn't know how we set VC package up, have a look at the video that went online. It only went online today, unfortunately, but this was of Tuesday night's stream. Install SQLite 3 x64 Windows. And of course that's a dash. And of course it's SQLite 3. Cool, it was already installed. That was what I wanted to see. And what about x86? That was already on. That's good news. Means the blue screen didn't kill me completely. So let's have a look at SQLite in C++. I suspect that the interface is very, very C-like. In fact, spoiler alert, it is a C interface, not a C++ one. Which means that we need to remember to do closes, opens and closes and things like that. Now hang on a minute. What's one thing that we know about C++ and classes? You have constructors and you have destructors. So what say we slightly change gears? Why don't we? I mean, what have we got? We've literally got SQLite 3 and SQLite 3 STMT as essentially the two objects that are constructed and destructed. Why don't we, and I am pretty sure we're not going to be the first people to do it, I'm pretty convinced that many people have done this before, but hey, in the interest of us doing things reasonably from scratch, why don't we have a crack at building a very, very simple C++ wrapper around this? Because I really can't be bothered to remember to close things. I'd much rather let the destructor do it, because I'm going to forget everything. So from this summary, which I'm going to have on another screen, I think, although this is going to be interesting because my microphone's going to be in the way, so you're going to see me doing ducking and dodging things. Oh, actually, the big banner kind of helps here. That works. So let's bin that off for now. And let's play with... shall we just go for it, or shall we do this bit by bit? Let's say that these commands aren't going to be here. Have I got a way of playing about with an SQLite database on this machine as well? I don't think I have. Let's see if I can just find a browser or something. Does anyone have a simple... Oh, DB browser. I remember this. I've used this. This is the something officially. It looks very Mac-like, but... Hey, we have a 2019 one. No, that's blog post. Where's the download? There, isn't it? Let's have an installer. Let's install it. Let's go for it. I know this software works. I've used it before. Program menu. I don't want desktop stuff. SQL Cipher. Do I want? I'm not bothering with that. We'll. I know that people will shout at me when I say this, but we'll do security stuff later if we need to. I don't think we've got a particularly huge attack vector here, so I'm not that fussed. Let's create a new database. Let's drop code, Twitch soundbot, assets, command DB. Seems reasonable. Or just Hubblebot. Let's just call it Hubblebot. Why not? Table, commands, add a field, name, type, text, not null, primary key, unique. So that's reasonable. It can't be unique and primary key because it might be overloadable at some point. And let's add another field. Let's say that we call that reply for now. And again, that's a text. That's also not allowed to be null. That's pretty reasonable. Save that database. No, we want to add edit database cell commands. Browse data. That makes more sense. Cool. New record. What we'll say is hi is that clunky much. And the reply is going to be this. Okay, I can deal with that. We'll do another new record. That's going to be recall. And what are we going to throw in there? Well, fortunately, we can now externalize this and stuff it there. Cool. So we've got a very small database that we know we can make work. Let's write the changes out. So we haven't got to bother prattling about. I mean, what we ought to do at some point, if we're going to ship this out to other people, is write a way of creating the database and all that. But hey, we're playing. This is exploratory again. So we've built this map of commands. I want to connect to that database now. So let's suggest, well, I've got docs up on somewhere else. So SQLite 3 open, what does that do? That returns us an int. So what are our choices? Database file name, we get a handle out. Okay. SQLite 3 double star, apparently it is a double star. DB handle. And of course that isn't found. Include the header file and magic happens. So we've now got a database handle. Let's now go int well, result equals SQLite 3 underscore open. Oh yes, underscoring underscores for namespaces. We're back in C land. There's an SQLite 3 open v2. What is that? It accepts 2 extra parameters for additional control over the new database connection. The flags parameter can take. We can open read write. We can open read only. We can open create. Okay. And then we can do mutex and stuff. So let me have a look, because this could be handy if we use the open v2. Let's not. Let's just use the open, actually. Because remember, at some point we are going to want to create the database. So we want to pass it a file name, hubble.bot. What did we call it in the end? Let's open this up in File Explorer. Assets, and it's called DB. Cool. And what's it going to return us? Oh, we need a handle off it as well. Let's pass in that DB handle. And you'll notice that this handle is what we pass around to a lot of functions. This is what gives away to me that we need to encapsulate this in a better way. And this returns an int. What is the int that we're returning? Oh, hang on. File names. It's using file. It wants a URI file name? Possibly. Well, I'll try it without. But what is this going to return? Because I still don't see on this page that I'm looking at a return value. You know what? There's an easy way of doing this, isn't there? Stuff a breakpoint in and have a look. Errors. What is the error? Uninitialized local handle local variable DB handle used. Now, I suspect that that shouldn't be an issue. I don't know what it's. This might be something that you can do in C that you can't do in C++. So let's have a look at what's going on. Or have I passed the wrong thing? Do I need to... Is it actually that? And then I pass an address of, or a... Is that what I need to do? Create a pointer to a DB handle and then pass the address of that pointer? That probably makes more sense, doesn't it? That probably makes a lot more sense. And result has come back as... Let's go into the... Let's not go into the locals. That was silly. I'm going to have to blur that in the edit. Yay! Yeah, okay. I know where we are. It's alright, the fact that you guys have seen that, it was a bit quick. Don't clip it, please. DB handle we've got back. Result is 0. So yeah, standard thing, non-zero is going to be an error, I would assume. I should know not to show the locals window on this stream. Oh well. Fiddle-dee-dee. I might actually regenerate that. Twitch OAuth key. Can I regenerate that? I probably can. Yeah, I'll work out how to do that. Anyway, let's go back to what we were doing. Let's do a thing. So we've opened up our database connection. We can disconnect the token in the Twitch settings. Blood, thank you very much. How do I do that? Twitch.tv. Sorry, if I don't do it now, I'm going to forget and I'm going to upload tokens. So I need to do that one now, which means I need to log out of this account here. Oh, this is a mess. I knew streaming tonight was a bit silly. Come on, Twitch, be nice to me. Let me fill in and log in as that user, if you would be so kind. And we're saying that we're going to go to settings somewhere. There, that looks good. Connections. OAuth. So I can disconnect that. And then I can redo it and go off stream quickly to show how that's done. So I now need to go to the OAuth generator, don't I? Twitch OAuth. Thank you very much for that, Blob. Tell you what, I will do something rare here. I will use a silly noise. Thank you very much. Have some rings. Okay, so we've revoked access. I think that's a different token now. So let me copy that. To be fair, there might be another thing where that's a problem. Okay, let me quickly go into my you can only see my face. So that's fine. Now if I go into settings here, does I just need to double check something else, because that OAuth token now has disappeared. I don't know if TC used it. I am going to go into here though. So for anyone watching on the video, on the VOD, that Twitch token that flashed up in the locals window that you lot probably think that is pretty safe to use, don't bother. It doesn't work anymore. So thank you for that, WTF Blob. So yeah, that's an improvement. Let me close that window just in case I click the wrong button now, and just double check everything else. And yeah, that's reconnected up. Cool. So we have OAuth back. At some point it might be nice to try and connect it and try and do the OAuth bit in our own bot. But that's at some point. Anyway, what we've done is we've opened the database. We never had to close it, do we? So let's have a look at the function that we use to close it. Let me also have a look at things. Okay, cool. Let me... things are going really not that well. So we've got an SQLite 3 open. Let's do it on here as well. Let's copy that. Let's paste it there so that you guys can see everything we're doing. So open and SQLite 3 close. SQLite 3 close is it just takes the what's it. So and we're just going to pass it that DB handle. So all we're doing right now is opening and closing the same database. That really doesn't help us a huge amount, does it? We want a statement. So let's prep ourselves a statement up, shall we? And again, I'm going to have a look here. Oh, we get a handle, a statement, a maximum length of ZSQL in bytes, whatever that is, a statement handle out, and a pointer to an unused portion of ZSQL. What is this ZSQL of which we speak? This is interesting. So ZSQL is that. Okay. A maximum length is, okay, if it's negative, it'll read up to the first 0 terminator. That's cool. So we could just null terminate it and not bother. So null termination, that's C string, that we can do. And if pztail is not null, then it points, okay. So that we don't need to bother with. So what we're really doing, and again, I don't know if we should be using the V2 stuff here or not. Oh, there's a V3 for SQLite 3 prepare 16. Wow. Oh, the preferred one is SQLite 3 V2. Okay, let's use that then. Let's drop that in and see what we can do with it. So we're passing in the DB handle. We need some SQL, so select star from commands. In fact, let's make this slightly future-proof. Name reply from commands. We're saying that that can be set negative and it'll just do the right thing. We need to get a statement out, so let's create one. Statement, and we'll have a pointer to that, and we're saying that we're going to do null there. So that's the what's it, and again it's just going to be result equals. We can probably even throw that away. Semicolon for obvious reasons. Get rid of these. Oh, that's not a dereference, that's an address it wants. We can get rid of all these commenty lines. And see what happens if we throw this all on one line. It's probably not going to like it very much. Oh, hang on. We might just about get away with it. So there we are. We've created a prepared statement. We are happy, I think, that we don't need to do anything else with it. So we don't necessarily need to bind anything to it, I don't think. Let's have a look at what a statement looks like in SQL without, in fact, close that window, shall we? Let's not have the locals even on show. So let's see what a statement now looks like. It's null. Lovely. And why is that null? Anybody know why that could be a null? Because that's a bit pants. What's the result? 1. Ah, okay. So, what does a result of 1 tell us? Apart from we probably goofed somewhere. Okay, SQLite 3 _ step is a function that'll be handy here. So, SQLite 3 step. Now, of course, that was too easy, wasn't it? Auto error equals, and let's quickly just run that. We've got to, Control Z, I didn't want to do that. SQLite 3 step takes the statement, that'd be the issue. That's more interesting. That probably can now be applied, and it can. Edit and continue is lovely. So we've got that error, and if I F10 over it, the error is error 21. What does error 21 mean? Let's have a quick glance at the error codes. 21, I can't, SQLite misuse. Oh, it says that it's telling us that we're being naughty. The SQLite misuse, in fact, let's bring this up on stream. So what it's saying to me now, oh yeah, let's not do history. Saying that we are using the SQLite interface in a way that is undefined or unsupported. Okay, why have we got that? Because that's really weird. Let's go back to the docs. Let's see what it so let's have another look at prepare. Oh, do you know what we didn't do? We've passed a database in. Database handler, we don't have to pass in by address, do we? Do we need to do a v2 open to make that work? Is this what we need to do? Do we need to do a v2 open? And the v2 opens have flags and the VFS module name. Was the open successful? Well, I would assume so, in that, let's just go back there. Result 0. So I assume that was successful, and we've got a handle, and that handle, if I go there, what does this handle mean? DB handle. Oh, that's just there, yeah. Stick it there. And we've got, you know, some data of some description. So I make the assumption that that handle is valid. And we pass the actual handle itself into the SQLite 3 prepare v2. Now, I don't see anything about needing... if it's opened or created successfully, then SQLite OK is returned, which is 0. So that's fine. 0 is absolutely fine, and that's done exactly what we think it's done. Do we have to open... I suppose what I want to know is, do we open... Oh, the temporary directory must be set prior. Hang on, the encoding used must be UTF-8. That's fine. We're fine with that. Oh, and that's Windows runtime. That's WinRT stuff. That's not for us. So, typical thing that we do is we open a database connection. Cool. We create a prepared statement. We're only at that point so far. We're not even binding yet. And to be fair, we don't need to bind. And yeah, we've got a prepared statement. That's fine. We're using prepare v2. That should be fine. So it's a database, the SQL, maximum length, which we're passing a -1, the statement, and a pointer to unused portion of SQL. And we're saying that we're going to pass -1 And the reason that we're doing that is if the n byte argument is negative, then it's read up to the first 0 terminator. Now, a char star does include the 0 terminator, doesn't it? Can we get a little example program? Are these going to be nice enough to give us that? How about, let's have a look at this. Okay, this is a TCL program. We've got, hello. We have a C program. So we're going to use open, use close, okay, use exec, but it's not. I mean, what we haven't got in here is a prepared statement. Do we need a prepared statement? I would argue that we actually don't in this instance. The reason I'm going to assert that we don't is that, wow, that's a lot of functions, is that we're not actually doing anything of interest. So we're not doing the bind. So we could just execute with some SQL, with a callback function, an argument to the callback, and an error message there. We could do it that way, couldn't we? But it still asks the question, how are we actually misusing things? Because I still insist that we're not. Let's have a go with the not v2 version. So let's try and run that, which is deprecated, but that's fine. And then we'll F10 that. Result has come back as 1. And the error is 21. So we've still got an issue where we are doing something a little bit silly. So commands is the table name. Name and reply are those. Just in case I've forgotten how to use SQL, let's try that, shall we? It can recompile all it likes. Have I? No, that's not. So it's not like I'm using invalid SQL unless you need the semicolon at the end in SQLite, because I can never remember. We're still getting an error. Are we still getting the same error? Yes, we're still getting error 21. So it's still claiming that we are misusing SQLite. Let's try and go back to that C++ program that they gave us. Do we not have an example? We do have one somewhere, and it was just in SQLite, wasn't it? We saw a getting started, and of course it sends us. Yeah, it gives us that. But we're opening, or we're using SQLite 3 open and passing the address of that. So that bit we've got right. And then the exec we're not bothering with. We're trying to prepare a statement. So what's the syntax? We don't need. Okay. So a statement can be. It doesn't need the semicolon. It can be a select statement. What is a select statement? Goes to select Result columns with commas. From table or subquery. Droppity drop, drop, drop all the way down and through. Okay, so my statement's correct. Going back. Does SQLite support that star? Do you know what? I think there's a reasonably easy thing to do here, which is just go, can I execute some SQL there? And yeah, that comes back. So that's fine. So that's the database is fine, the SQL is fine. That mbyte is fine. The statement is fine, and the tail, that null, should be fine as well. Because it's not putting it anywhere. So, shall we have a look? Can we jump into here? I bet we can't necessarily jump into the source of this, can we? I want to know why this is erroring on me. Do you know what? Let's just grab that and see if anyone else is getting a 21. Okay, this is iOS and it's, but we know what we can do. No, that's completely not what I thought it was. Oh, hang on. Hello. Hello. Can we get a... How are they getting the error message? Again, I know that this is Objective-C, but it's going to help. Where is that error message being used? Because I want to see where that step is now. I want to see if there's anything more to do with it. So, SQLite 3-step statement. Can we get an error message out? Because this would be interesting. This would be very interesting. Okay, someone's come up with a using it. Opening from memory, that's fine. We've got SQLite in. So we're allocating the statement. That's cool. They're doing the prepare, which is done exactly the way we're doing it. Okay, there's a semicolon there. I don't think we need that semicolon. The -1 and the null are exactly what we've put, and the database, I've put the DB handle. We've done that. Then we're going to step that statement. SQLite 3ERRMSG returns the message for the last error. That it does. That's okay. Let's go. Let's grab that, shall we? And again, it's called DB handle in our terms. Let's give that a go. Let's see if we get out something of interest. No such table commands. Okay, I disagree. Which means, do I need to do the file : thing then? Like that. So the open wasn't successful, technically. And it still isn't being successful. What? And that is the name of the... It is hubblebot.db. Did I save the database? On the grounds that I've clicked write changes, I assume that I have. I mean, yeah. And we're running... I can't spell my own name. I apparently can't spell my own name. Shall we try it if it's actually Hubblebot? So if I go into assets, and I need to be very careful now. Yeah. It created one with one L. So the open wasn't successful at all. And at this point, another row available. So we now don't have an issue. It's embarrassing when you can't spell your own name, isn't it? That is thoroughly, thoroughly embarrassing. Okay, so we're getting results in theory, or we can do the step. So what does the step actually do? Because this is now interesting. So we're going to grab a query. Okay, we're not going to bother with this malarkey, but that step, that's still inserts. We need to do selects. Querying data with the classic method. So we've got that. Let's pinch this, because again, we can. So again, don't necessarily need all of that nonsense. Definitely don't need that. So what are we actually doing here? Well, while RC, what's RC in this case? RC result code. So while the result is that, let's not bind to result there. Of course, we've got to, you know, yeah, ask FP Jester. Nice. Have we all done that one then? If result isn't 0, we'll do a stud cout database not opened stud end line and return. Well, might as well do that. So while we've got more rows, let's say we do go name reply. There. Just because I can see that this is a ordered thing. So let's suggest that we then go commands statement 0 equals that. So we're just literally filling this in. SQLite 3 column text is returning a C string. So I'm sure we can fix that, and I'm sure that's the way to do it, is it? How do we convert from a C string to a proper one? Let's have a look again. Let's look at the constructors. What constructors have we got? it will take in. Yeah, WTF Blood doesn't think we have to manually convert. I would suggest we probably do, because commands is moaning at me that we're passing a const unsigned char star and it wants a standard string. So I think we are going to have to do some form of conversion. I can't imagine a static cast would work. So we're going to have to use a constructor here, I suspect. Let's pull these out. Stirred string name is that. Const unsigned char star. Okay. What's the problem with const unsigned char star then? Because that's slightly annoying. Const unsigned char star to string. Ah, that's interesting. Ooh, reinterpret cast. So this is going back to okay, we're getting UTF-8 encoded. Ah, right, so we need to realistically use a UTF-8 string of some description. Okay, that's interesting. So it probably isn't a reinterpret cast. So can we do a... Can we get a UTF-8 string in C++? Because we pretty much are going to have to use it. Yeah, okay, so we are going to use UTF-8. This document's recommending it, apparently. Is it going to tell us how? Or is it going to just be an irritant? Yes, I know why I want to use it. I just want to know how. So, don't use those, don't use that. This is all don't. I don't want don't. I want do's and do's. Standard string and char star are considered UTF-8 everywhere. Okay, interesting. Okay, code CVT underscore UTF-8. Ah, that could be handy. Thank you very much, Fuel Snable. So what do we do with this? How do we drive this? So we've got... Okay, so we can create a U8 string that way. How do I grab? So I just... char16t. What actually is a char16t? What's... Because that's not just... That has to map to something, doesn't it? What are you declaring that you are? This example converts to Unicode, Blub saying. Fundamental types. So will this go from what we're looking for? Because I want to get out of Sealand as quickly as I can and grab it and go straight into what's it land? So UTF-8 data is that. We want to convert to... I don't even know what we want to convert to. That's the other thing. We need to convert to a string, don't we? Stud string is whatever. But can we get a UTF-8 convert? Can we get a stud string to become from bytes? So let's say that we use this. This looks reasonably right to me. So let's grab a converter there. No doubt I've got to grab something. What header file are we in? I want at least code CVT. Cool. Let's include that. That now still moaning? No, it isn't. Cool. So that's a UCS2 conv. And then I want to go from bytes. Well, that again is going to convert to UTF-16, which is all well and good. I've got a UTF-8 string. I just haven't got a UTF-8 string. This is the problem. C++ unsigned star ungenerator string. I mean, again, people are suggesting this whole reinterpret cast. Could we sensibly, safely do that cast? Or are we going to come a cropper doing it? I mean, I don't like cast, but I don't know if we've got a fat lot of choice. That's probably going to be more interesting. So, from UTF-8 with no success, Yeah, I don't want to not work with the direct API. So the reinterpret cast really does seem to be where everyone's going with this. This is all juice strings. Well, I don't know what juice is, but you know. Converting SQLite result to a standard string in C++. And they're using, again, a reinterpret cast. Is there any reason why... Because a char start will take... This is the thing. A char is now big enough to take anything UTF-8. So I don't... And signedness is to do with the compiler. So I don't see why the reinterpret cast wouldn't work. We're breaking no actual rules here, are we? If I just do this nonsense, we're actually breaking no real rules there. And again, reply being that with the 1, and then all I do is go command name equals the reply. I don't see how we're going to have a huge issue doing that. So for now, if I fire this up, I mean, this is where it could all go horribly wrong and someone could find an issue. If I go into the watch and I look for commands, that's a map of size 2 with the high and the rate calling correctly. Until that breaks, I'm sticking with the reinterpret cast. I know that's probably horrible, but do you know what? It's going to have to work. And I'm sorry, but if people don't like that, that's a bit of a shame. So, I mean, if I pull that out now, that block of code is commented out. So if the high command now works, then what we've got is we're now connecting to an SQLite database. As it is, I know that we started very late, but as it is 25 past 10 on a day that I've said I wasn't feeling well and I wasn't going to stream particularly long, shall we suggest that we call it there? Actually, one more... yeah, we're going to call it there. On our next stream, which, by the way, big, yeah, we'll do that, Fuel Snable, actually, as the last thing. Announcement. The weekend stream, Saturday, not Sunday. Sunday, Minxie and I are out. We're out with some friends, so it'll be Saturday.
Our community grows.
Thank you very much for that follow, VZW Gray. Please post in chat who you are, what you're about, what you've done, all the rest of it. That would be wonderful, please and thank you. Yeah, Fuel Snable, we will stick that into a function. At some point, a lot of this is going to disappear. Because, you know, we've got an open and a close there. We've got a prepare and a finalize there. So we've got a constructor and a destructor. We've got another constructor and destructor. Would it not make more sense for us to use a class, I don't know if you can do it with a struct, to use a class in C++, even if only to stuff these in the constructors and the destructors, so that we don't forget to kill stuff off. I'm not going to bother catching the result there. But yeah, I mean, what we could always do is to there. I can always make a quick function that goes standard string I'll name it in a second. We'll return that. Thank you very much for being here, Upgrading Dave. Let's give a shout out in your direction as well. Upgrading Dave. Upgrading Dave is, I believe, playing with Clojure, and I think, are you making a bot in Clojure? If I remember rightly. Anyway, great streamer. Again, doing a similar thing to us in terms of learning on the stream, so be kind. If you would be so kind, please and thank you. Yeah, you will be. You know, we're good people here. So, what are we going to take? Well, let's say that's SQLite 3 column text. So, SQLite 3 column string. Just for now, I mean, this is going to get renamed at some point. And that's going to take a SQLite 3, hang on, let's see what it is. It's an SQLite 3 underscore STMT statement and an int column, because I prefer that to the horrible names that they're using. VZW Grey. I like some web development. We do an amount of web development here, mainly in F# as well. I had tried to avoid it for a while, and then I found a web project I really fancied doing. So we're doing that as well at some times. It was the main focus, but for now I'm focusing more on this bot because C and C++ are fun. We've also done quite an amount, well, a small amount of Rust on stream. So if you're interested in languages like Rust, really, I just want to do some of the stuff you don't see too often. Okay, so we've got this dealt with. We're returning the stud string. That's going to be a const, we know that. Because I'm not going to allow that to change afterwards. Oh, apparently I can't do that. Apparently I can now. Can we do anything about passing in? I mean, that can be a const, definitely. Can that be a const reference? No, it can't. Bother. And that's because where we're passing it, it has to be that. Okay, we'll let that slide. Well, you're liking the sound of Rust. Currently working on a small parser interpreter for a simple custom language in Rust at the moment. That'll be quite fun in Rust, I would imagine, because you've got proper pattern matching. So your AST won't be too bad, because you can match. You're waiting for me to see the light and start typing standard string const reference instead of const standard string reference. Fuel Stable, what's the difference? Because everyone keeps telling me that it's const standard string reference. So, is that also a thing? Because if that's a thing, I much prefer it. I just didn't actually know you could do that one. I much prefer that. No, Fuel Stable, I'm sure you're one of the people that was telling me const first. No, this is much more interesting. Looks much nicer. What do I do in Rust? We've been working on, oddly enough, it was a project called TwitchDeck, where I was trying to... Essentially, I was too cheap to buy a Stream Deck, so I decided that I was going to make my own version, and now that I own a Stream Deck, we're going to retool TwitchDeck to do other things. So it was playing sound effects and whatever. The phone app would connect through a WebSocket interface to OBS, and it also made requests to a Rust program. So we had a Rust we had a Rust app that had a GUI on the top of it and a web interface, essentially because Rust's web stuff using Actix was really, really fast. So const char star. Can I do the same trick here? Can I do that? Because essentially, I much prefer this way round. This makes a lot more sense. Yes. What did we use for the GUI in Rust? We used GUI RS. I think it was called. And no, we did not use a web-based GUI. Oh no. I wanted something that was as low memory footprint as possible. Reason being is I reckon that this was going to run on someone's streaming machine, and I wanted to use as little of their memory and as few of their cycles as I could. So we used DRI GUI. At one point we tried GTK. That was good, but this was lighter and I think easier to use to some degree. I like the immediate mode UI paradigm. I like it quite a lot, actually. We did look at one point at doing this in F# and using Electron. And where this used, did this use like about 19 meg of RAM, and the Electron version used triple that just for a quick hello world? I know it was a little bit, I know it used a lot. Yeah. I mean, what you're doing literally is you are redrawing every frame there, VZW Grey. If you like the concept of the immediate mode GUI, cool, use this. If you don't know too much about it, Casey Muratori of Handmade Hero has done a talk based around the immediate mode GUI. I quite like it. You're not going to get it looking native. You're getting a window with owner drawer inside. GTK is probably more native, but as I remember, we were having all sorts of threading issues. It became hard, whereas this remained easy. I think it really was a case of this is just simple. I'm sure we'll play more and more with it at some point, because that does need retooling. Twitch Deck needs to almost become a modding API and almost to hook into this, but potentially. That's an idea. But yeah, I mean, coming back, we'll have a look at all the const moving around. Can we do auto const? Can we do something daft like this? Hey Buccaneer, how you doing? Unfortunately, you've caught me at the very end of this, playing with C++, and at the moment I've just been told that this works. Okay, now that's just wrong. Const char, const star works. I'm not bothering with that. How are you anyway? I haven't spoke to you for a while. I ought to message on Skype occasionally, like I keep threatening I will. Alright, so let's move the constants around as we see them in future. You've just been mad busy, have you? I can well imagine. I have also been incredibly busy. Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. I use WhatsApp far more than I use Skype. Skype is essentially for me a work tool now. Yeah, we communicate through Skype because that's. I am still amazed. That is a sizable live. That's a bit wordy, isn't it? Stud chrono. I almost wonder, had I not ought to. Where can I do usings? Can I do something silly like using? Can I do that there? Using name. Well, let's not use the namespace. Seconds and duration cast. So can I at least just in the... Is this block scoped? I mean, that's really cool if that is block scoped. So let's say if I now try to do duration cast there, it's going to tell me no. Wow! Okay, block scoped usings are nice. I quite like that. I don't know what people think hugely. Oh yes, I've seen about the new Windows terminal. I might have to grab the source to that and give it a build, see if I can build it. Apparently, I'm trying to convince someone to get some instructions up for building that. I might build that on stream at some point. Yeah, that's cool. I quite like that a lot. Installing GDB on Mac is a 17-step process involving multiple reboots. Thankfully, RLDB was okay. GDB installing on Ubuntu, which is where I've installed it, I think was sudo apt install GDB? Or does it come as part of Build Essential? I can never remember. It'd make for a cool stream and save you doing... Well, this is the thing, dude. I'm expecting that a lot of people on this channel will want to play with that new Windows terminal. I expect a lot of people will want to go with that. As far as you know, we need version 1903 of Windows from the Insiders Edition to build the new terminal. Right, that rules me out. This machine does not run Insider. I could use my laptop, or I could bung a VM on this to make it work. C++ supports custom literals. So seconds 30 might be able to be typed 30_seconds now. How would I set that up though? I mean, that I already know. Yeah, it's not working yet, obviously. The user-defined literal operator is not found. So how do I make that? Oh, user-defined literals. Let's have some fun. C++ user-defined literals. I mean, we can go with this. So type safe calculation there with distances is that. Okay, so there's distance unit. What do we do? Operator. So we need to create a... We'll not do this tonight, but at some point I'm smelling some fun here. I'm smelling something interesting. I think there are things we could do with that. Ooh! That is essentially units of measure. Long double, hang on. Oh, now. Now, hang on. Because there's a thing here, isn't there? Can you use single quotes in JSON? Can I do this? And I'm betting someone has already done that literal. That needs to be a thing. If that's not a thing, I will be very upset, because that is cool. Yeah, if your snable's literally just come out with exactly the same as I'm typing, that is the kind of thing I would love to see. And I always sort of said, you know, VB's XML literals were great at the time, but now that people tend to have moved on to JSON, a JSON literal would be nice. But the problem is, with JSON, of course, that's cool in 2019. Well, it was in 2018. We're going to be moving on again. Because everyone said that you wouldn't from XML, and we have. So I think the idea that we can user define these rather than having it built into the language is cool. You have to implement as const expressions. Well, that's not... I don't see the problem there. Because your const expression would just parse that tree. So you'd almost just parse that and come out with a... what's it? And come out with an object of a tree or something, or a struct or whatever. 2020 is the rebirth of any files, you're calling it. I know they're not the same, and I know that there's a bit more to them, but I quite like the TOML format, which is essentially the rebirth of any. It's just, you know, as they do every time they make something, well, they update something, they've added complication. And I think some of what they've done to TOML is a bit silly, because they've pushed it a bit far and all the rest of it. Yeah, it's a bit complex. I mean, there's nothing stopping. The problem is you'd have to now do... You'd have to do it as a raw string to get away with it with any, wouldn't you? But any would work. Yeah, to be fair, I only really know about it because of cargo.toml. That's all I really know about any files. Right, anyway, it's now 11:15 in my time zone. So, now that we've got a working bot, let's use said working bot for a raid call. So we're going to drop a raid somewhere. Actually, before we do, I've updated the mod command, haven't I? So surely I can now do that, because no one's done it all evening. Cool. Just making sure it still works. Right, so you know the drill. Subscribers use the raid call with the Yappy Dog emote. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, please use the Yappy Dog raid without the Yappy Dogs, because they won't work for you, unfortunately. And shall we decide on somebody to raid? Let's go to Team Live Coders. I believe we might have some auto-host thank yous as well at some point. Who are we going to give a raid to? Let's see if Ted's going to be on a while still. Looks like he's still going. Let's send a raid across to Jitter Ted then. I'm going to... Hang on, how do I do this? I'm going to do it this way. By the way, thank yous go to Kasikan, Viking Coder and Yakpie for the hosts this evening. We're going to go across and say hello to Jitter Ted. So remember the raid calls, people, because it only really works well if we do it. And I will see everyone on Saturday night. And wow, I can't get a copy and paste to work. Okay, cool. I'll see everyone on Saturday night then.